So, interesting point of recognition here that OBS apparently, when I clicked the start stream button, said no. So apparently, I have been sitting here for the last 35 minutes, coding and talking to myself. Is that necessarily different from what I do on a daily basis? I don't think so. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to the lab. Thank you so much for stopping by. So, that's a thing. Let me, yeah, interesting. So stream is now back up. There we go. Alrighty, so just messaging the Discord to let people know that I was actually streaming and, or I was actually planning to stream. Apparently, OBS said no. That's always fun. But anyway, welcome everybody. So,
So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
Thank you so much, Sorcery. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the 6 months. And Fiol, welcome back. Oh man, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. Alrighty. Well, that's let's see here. So we've got 30 minutes that I need to catch up on. 40 minutes that I need to catch up on. 40 minutes? Math hard. Let's just get right into it, shall we? All right. So thankfully there's not a whole lot that's happened, but there are a couple of things that have happened. So let me go through that real quick. So number one, I did a brief overview of the bot. I will do that in another video. But what I basically started doing was I started working on the persistent key value store for bot features. And I am going to do this this overview again real quick. So let me pause on that. Boop. Close that out. So let's go through, since we don't have it on the code anymore, let's go through GitHub. So at the moment, we have this concept of a ledger. Ignoring the name for anybody that is financially inclined, this is not an accounting ledger. Ledger effectively described a key value store. That's really all it is. It's a description, it's an interface of a key value store. And in ye olden days, we had two versions. The cache version, which is just in-memory representations, and a file representation. And depending on which one we wanted, which I think at this point we are always using the file ledger, but the in-memory ledger does have its use at times. Based on that, we construct a persistible ledger. Now, persistible ledger is basically just a map of string entry that we then, if we want it to persist, if it's a file ledger, then we write that cache, that memory, into a file for, well, persistence. Now, this was one of the first things that I think we built, because this is used by the greeter. So greeter, the thing that is in the chat right now that's saying "Welcome to the lab, user," that's the greeter, and the greeter uses the ledger to know who it said hello to already. But now we also have viewer, and inside of viewer we have metric store. Metric store is also a key value store, but for metrics instead of the more generic entries. But then in the last stream, we recognized, okay, well, we want this to be persistent. And then we started to go backwards. So that's where we are, and this is what I'm working on. So before I go into what I've already done, catch up on chat. Actual stream when I click on the link. Yeah, apparently I haven't been doing this for very long. Let's see here. Hello, Nilo. Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How you doing, mate? Alrighty. So, Now, what I did in the 44 minutes when I was talking to myself, what I did was, number one, I got rid of the nomenclature of ledger. It was kind of confusing to people that I know that actually work in the financial industry. They kept looking at ledger going, wait, you say it's a ledger, but it's not a ledger. It's just a cache. Like, yeah, it's just a cache. So the first thing that I did was I moved the ledger package into a new package called cache. And it's basically just saying cache is a cache, calling it what it is. Next, I changed all of the nomenclature inside of this, except for this part, %s, ledger, cache, g. Ta-da. There we go. Don't know what that noise was, but I did it. Invalid cache type, yes. Config, I think config is, does config have a ledger? It does. So for this, we want this to be cache factory. For the greeter cache. And lastly, so apparently I didn't actually do, I didn't actually do a good job of this part. Is something different with my hair today? Yes, it is slicked back. Yoink. So I did the like side and back short trim, and then the top I'm leaving long, and I'm actually letting the top grow probably pretty long. We'll see how that goes. But yeah. And then a recommendation was given to me of like, hey, you should slick it back. Like, all right. Could possibly go wrong. And this happened. So now my head be shiny. Let's see here. Doing good. Was gonna ask what witchery welcomed me to chat. It's the bot. It's my bot. Medj played some Valheim. Now he's going full Viking mode. Okay, so I do have to ask. This little get up. Does it look Viking? Tiffy actually came over yesterday, and the first thing that she said, because I had this on and my hair was also slicked back, she goes, "You look like a Viking." Like, oh shit. Dry bones. No worries, mate. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. So good to see you. Can't stay for long because I'm going to school. Oof. Don't miss those days. Don't miss those days. This one, not so much. This one is just kind of like I don't know. It's very cozy. It has shoulder pads though. That's the thing that's probably the most interesting to me. So if anybody really wants to like crack into my shoulder, extra padding. Anything else? Fucked. But shoulders? Perfectly fine. Let's see here. Volumes of ledger data. Ledger data does not exist. I don't think. Actually, ledger data did exist. Cache data goes into user source app cache data. Cache data. Rip grep ledger. Nothing else in the ledger. Nope, that should be everything. All right. Best compliment a man can receive? I guess it depends on what context. You're like a Viking in that you're a brute and you're doing something terrible? That's not necessarily restricted to Vikings, though. That's just humans. Didn't mean to go that layer, but anyway. Let's see here. So, last couple of things that I should probably call out. So the other thing that we've been doing is we've been cleaning up the code for persistable. Persistable is basically just a cache, an in-memory cache that can be persisted. It's the implementation of the cache interface that we just saw a minute ago. Now, I've also been going through and reminding myself, which I did this off stream, but technically, but I am going to bring it up again. So cache. Cache is a map of key value. So key value pairs. The key in this cache is duplicated in the thing that we store in the cache. And I was like, "Duffa, why are we doing that? That's duplication. Duplication is bad." Except duplication's not bad. Turns out that we actually do this because this is how we pull elements back out of the file again. So if I go down to here, and oh no, oh that's right, because I was doing a from line. Did I lose all the code? I lost all the code. Troll. Oh no, it's still here. It's still here. Time to lurk now. Have a nice stream. Thank you so much, Dry Bones. Hope you have a good day at school. Thank you so much for stopping by. Cheers, mate. Functionality check. Yeah, it's still. I haven't restarted the bot after all these code changes yet, so technically prod is still working. Technically speaking. Also, be sure to give Spooky a follow. She is a fantastic streamer, a fantastic friend, and she is helping me realize my lifelong dream of learning Japanese. So I can't say enough good things about her, so I won't. I will continue to say good things about her. And as well, make sure to give our lovely mod Sorcery a follow. Let's see here. Sorcery. Do you officially consider yourself a variety streamer? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, but I always have to ask. Yep, all that functionality be working, Feel. Holy shit. The Cthulhu command. A feature request from Fuel. Must have ASCII Cthulhu. Okay. So I'll read all. And then Sorcerer is a frog detective and Freddy Fish streamer, though. I don't even care. Those games just look incredible. There's something about that type of game in my adult life that just makes me so happy. I don't know why. I just don't know why. All right, so what do I want to do? I think here I want to do... should we just return the entry? I think we should. So I'm thinking that I want this to be something like cache.fromLine. This will be line. Now this could result in an error. So if error does not equal to nil, then we have to do something log.printf. Oh, this is another log that we'll need to fix, but error invalid cache line sent s line continue. And more or less, I think we can just take all of this, delete it and yeet it. From line becomes line string. And then here we're gonna have our constants from before. So entry line size equals 3. constants regarding line composition. Technically speaking, this is only necessary because of there we go. This is only necessary because of the file. If we ever change to something like, something like Redis, we probably wouldn't do this, but let's do that. And let's see here. So in here, we would return an empty entry, errors.new, invalid line length %d len tokens. Oh, right. What is this complaining about? Oh, all right. Errors dot rf. Yeah, there we go. Invalid line length %d. That. Although I think that's the wrong errors. Oh no, it is package errors. Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind. From line. So we split, or we attempt to split. So if len, then we return invalid line length. Key value timestamp, %. Here we would change to errors.rf. Invalid timestamp for key. Here we would return entry. Errors.rf. Okay, I don't think we would do this part. Here, I think we would just return entry. Key is key. Value is value. Timestamp. Is that what I called it? Timestamp is TS. Nil. So from line's only responsibility. From line extracts an entry from a cache persistence line. And I am using file-specific nomenclature, and to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of fine with this idea of using that nomenclature. Cache.expired entry.timestamp continue. Don't cache expired entries. So range string.split. Oh wait. Yeah, no, line separator. Skip empty lines. Invalid cache line. You know, we could technically just print out the error in this case. think that would be fine. Cash expired. Otherwise, we wouldn't need this. We would just do that. Entry.key equals entry. Okay. That looks okay, but is it okay? That's the real question. Yep, looks okay. All right. So, basically what we have done, we've extracted this from line logic. We've extracted that into its own method. So now there is a dedicated method for both writing an entry to a line, but also returning an entry from a line. It readjusts a little odd seating position I find myself in right now. So what do we want to do? What do we want to do? Invalid line length, invalid timestamp for key. Don't think there's anything else that I would want to do there. Invalid cache line. Actually, there is value in continuing to have the line, I think. Yeah, I think we can do that. All right. Another thing that I'm recognizing is that we need a MedgeLabs logger. Need to turn that into log. And now, oh, thank you so much for the 100 bits, Guitar. 100 hours of research. Did you do that all in one go, or did you break it up into smaller chunks? Thank you so much for stopping by, mate. Welcome to the lab. How you doing? Holy shit. 100 hours of research. That's a lot of research. Imagine what you could do in 100 straight hours of research. Probably cook your brain, but, you know, still worth it. Okay. So, let's do a quick audit of this. So we've got line separator, field separator, persistable cache. That creation works just fine. If it's persistent, then we rehydrate. Now, this looks like unnecessary, I think. Let me think about this. Prepping for virus jab. Damn. Although I've had a couple of friends now that have also gotten it, and it's they had basically nothing. They had nothing major hit them, which is kind of nice. Good to hear. I'm not eligible. I'm not eligible for ye olde vaccine yet. How's Go going? It's going. Go has a tendency to go into locations that I find to be very goable. Go. No, that's going great. Go is still my sanity break from the world of software development. It's somebody asked me this like a couple of days ago in a one-on-one in a mentor sync, because it's that stereotypical setting of like, don't do what you love for your career because then you'll just learn to hate it. But for me, what I do in software development in my career and what I do in software development in my free time, just as recreation, there's plenty of similarities between them, but there's enough difference that it's still exciting to me. So technically speaking, I go to work, I do one type of coding. I come here, I do another type of coding. And I'm pretty sure, based on how vast this bloody industry is, that's going to carry me for a couple of decades. So we'll see if that actually holds up or not, but it's held up for a decade and a half so far. So I have hope. So what you're saying is Go is going places where no Go should have gone before. Oh, I'm sorry. Because apparently I'm supposed to do this. In a world where gophers go where no gopher has gone before. One language, one man, one absolutely terrible haircut. Coming to you this fall. Go. Rated R for really fucking awesome. All right, so with that out of the way, why are we flushing the cache after we read from the cache? Howdy kitties. So where are the kitties? Let me call them real quick. Hang on. I'll see if one of them comes. Thank you. At some point we'll code the next Frog Detective game to keep stuff interesting. Huh? Oh, speaking of kitties, the outside kitties are walking around. These are not my cats because I can't take on more cats. But there are neighborhood cats that the Humane Society, the rescue shelter, the animal control, nobody will bloody pick them up. Bothers the shit out of me. So the best that I can do is give them food and water, because I just can't bear to see them without it. Alrighty, let's see here. So the thing that's catching me right now is these two lines. So when we're constructing the cache, if it's a persistent cache, then we attempt to rehydrate from the cache target, which in this case is a file. So if it's persistent, we read from the file. And then once we're done reading from the file, we then immediately write to the file. That seems wasteful. That seems very wasteful. Because in this case, we're constructing the cache. So we're at a point in time where the cache exists in the file. The cache doesn't exist in the code. And so we read from that file to get into the cache, or to construct that cache. There's no reason to write back to the file again, because we would just be writing the same contents back again. Yeah, that's wasteful. That's absolutely wasteful. Get rid of that. Have I thought about game development? Game development was actually the first career path that I considered. How long ago was that? Like, in I think it was early high school, so it would have been 9th grade or 10th grade, one or the other. I was like full on prepping to go to a game development university. There used to be a university. I don't know if they're still around or not. But there was a university that was dedicated to game development. So I would have been, so this would have been after I worked on Grawl, online MMO that had an in-game scripting language, and I worked as a scripter for that game, which was awesome. So I was working for Grawl at the time, or working on Grawl at the time, and then considering going to Full Sail, and then like a year later, I dropped all of that, because I had discovered distributed development, distributed computing, which blew my mind and hooked my mind. I don't know why. I mean, I know that I love the shit out of it, but I don't know what it was about distributed development versus distributed computing versus game development that made me pick distributed computing. But I'm really glad I did. Just saying. I have, every now and again, I will kind of poke at game dev. There's a couple of Go libraries that I've poked at for building like 2D type of game renderings, but I've not really done proper game dev. Like I've never done Unity dev. I probably never will. But yeah. So have I considered it? Yeah, at some point. For a career path, never. Never will again. But have considered it as a hobby, as a side project. The thick string. Medj so wholesome. Medj can't stand to see cats, especially cats that are basically that's basically the Humane Society rejecting those cats' chance at life, and I don't like that. So I will do what I can. Plus, I have the money to be able to buy them food. So, Amazon, thank you so much for providing a good food brand that can be delivered next day in a 15-pound bag. Just saying. All right. So, cache rehydrates every 10 seconds. It persists. Every 10 seconds it flushes. So that's good. That's good. Those are good. Now, the one thing so the ultimate goal, as kind of a reminder for kind of what we're even doing right now, the ultimate goal is to remove metric store and replace it with persistable. In order to do that, I have to be able to basically serialize a metric. Thank you for the hydrate. And thank you for the stretch guitar. Ugh. Is I basically shoved this this giant thing up into my neck. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not usually a fan of clothing that like gets right up against my neck. But this is very cozy. This is a very cozy sweater, I guess is technically what it is. It's like knit too. It's so cozy. One thing that we could do, I'm not entirely sure that we would need to, but what we could do, store metrics, JSON. Hmm. Hmm. That's a thing. That's a thing I'll have to consider. But this is the ultimate goal: is to remove metric store, replace it with persistable. And in order to do that, find there we go. So out of the metric store is going to come a string. So all we have to do is turn that string back into a metric. So that is technically the one thing that we don't have working at the moment. I don't think we need to. I think we can just have that logic. Yeah, okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. So let's close this out. Or actually, let's find the references to metric store. So we have metric store as the dependency on the server. We have metric store on the constructor. That is very interesting. Where are we actually using this? Oh, there we go. Okay. Viewer, new in-memory metric store. Okay, so first, we're going to get rid of this. And this is a cache.cache. So now, cache.cache. Metric store is now the metric store. That does a thing. And now this is broken. Huh? Medge Labs logger. Excuse. Okay, I'll fix that in a second. See here, yes. So this is now, let's see here, change this to cache.new. Oh, so this is interesting. Okay. Metrics cache. So that becomes that. This is now a problem. This is no longer used. And then down here is get. If error does not equal to nil, then JSON.new. Well, actually, this is actually where we didn't care. about this, I think. Yeah, let's see. Okay. So now last sub is a string. So what we would need to do is we would need to let's see here. And then last sub from, how will we do this? So basically we need to we have a string coming from the cache now. So we need to convert that into a metric. How are we? Oh, it's not Medge Labs, it's Medge Bot. That's why it wasn't working. Derp. Okay, time 8:30. Got a little bit of time. So I guess we have to answer this question now. First, metric store. Goodbye. Metric represents a metric value tied to a user. Func. From cache. Ooh. This is where I start to realize that the two are a little more intertwined. They're a little more intertwined than I would think. So, let me just show. Do I not have? There we go. So this is what the current cache looks like. So in this case, we have this line. In the case of the greeter, it's key is the username, value is nothing because we don't really care about the value, and then this large number on the other end is a timestamp, which it's changing, by the way, because it's actually actively being persisted. So every 10 seconds it re-persists. Oops. So this is what the cache looks like. So the problem, though, if we come into bot viewer metric. So if we have a cache line that looks like key pipe value pipe timestamp, this is what we're looking at. This is what we need to parse. Now the challenge is that we can't do what we did. M is a metric string. So we can't have the same separator as the cache. This is one of the caveats of doing a file-based, non-structured cache. We could convert each cache line into JSON, and maybe it makes sense to do. Maybe. But the problem is that we have to turn this into, we have to turn it into and from a string. No worries, Phil. Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate you being here. Hope you have a good one, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, mate. Check time. Okay. So we need to encode and decode, or SERDE if you're familiar with the Kafka world. Serializer, deserializer. How would we want to do this? The cache has no concept of the individual consumers. So how would we, so what we could do is we could just return fmt.sprintf, and we could have, the cache just, the metric line, quick fix that. So the metric quick fix line could just be something like this, and then const field separator equals something. Now, what would that something be? What could be a good separator? Tilde, maybe? So then here, what this would be responsible for is %s, 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 which is kind of gnarly, but in fact, I think I'm actually going to do var buff strings dot builder buff dot. So first we would write metric name buff dot write field separator, and then buff dot write, it would be write string m dot amount. Actually, this would just be write Not sure I want to do that, though. I'll look for a better way to do this. This is not ideal, to say the least. And then we would return buff.string. So this would turn a metric into a string. Field separator defines what character separates a serialized metric line. Oh, we are already getting some work items in. Cool. So, string representation of a metric, and then from cache, convert, or I should say, attempt to convert a string to a metric. And then string. From cache attempts to convert a string to a metric. And effectively, we would have the same logic as we have in cache for cache entry. the alternative is that we could just, instead of having a separate object for it, we could just have an entry. And again, this kind of brings up the question of, we're basically doing string parsing, when in reality, we could just be doing JSON. Like, we could just be writing to and from JSON. Which would certainly save us some time. Let's see what that looks like. JSON would be name. And this would be JSON would be amount. So this would be this would be bytes.buffer, JSON.new, encoder, .encode, and we return buff.string. There's a caveat to this, but we'll get to that here in just a second. And then this would be var metric is a metric. And then we would basically do JSON.unmarshal, or we would attempt to unmarshal. New decoder. Well, actually, in this case, it would just be line dot it'd be byte line, and this would be at metric. And does this produce an error? Should produce an error, yeah. Now what do we do if error does not equal to nil? Invalid metric line. Something like that. And this would be log is a Mejbot logger. What would we return here? Could be lazy and do that, but I think this probably needs to return the error as well. Error. I think I did that right. Right? Message error. Yep. Hey, Salty Moth. Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How you doing, mate? So this is the JSON approach, in which case field separator wouldn't be needed, because now we don't have a field separator. And so So then from here, this is where oh, and of course you're not used anywhere. Server. No, this is in subs handler. Yeah, there we go. From cache, or this would be from cache. Viewer.from cache string. Now last sub is a viewer metric. In theory. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little gnarly, not gonna lie. But it does technically, I think, work. In memory is still not declared by cache. So that's something else that we could fix. Let's so this was my kind of back and forth on whether I wanted this to be exported or not. File persisted, maybe. Is a cache that persists its cache to the given OS file. So this does require the key expiration seconds, which would be 0. And there is no way for that to fail, as far as I'm aware. It's missing something. What is it missing? Does persistable? Let's say persistable. Oh, right. It's this thing. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And I think that should get us back to working condition, allegedly. I'm doing good, Salty Moth. Thank you for asking. Just about to finish up the stream here as work is calling. But the moment of truth, though, kind of have to restart it. Nope. Okay. Cache factory. Okay, so cache factory is borked. So let's see here. So cache factory is not a thing yet. Cache factory. File persisted in memory. Hang on one second. Me being asked if I can run stand-up this morning. Okay. That taken care of. Bueno. All right. Now, I'm not entirely sure where this is getting. There it is. Okay. Now we do have an invalid metric line. Unexpected end of JSON input. Okay. Oh, that just keeps on going, doesn't it? Huh. So that's a problem. Does this still work? That still works. We're just constantly erroring out. Okay. So, server. Oh, right. It's constantly failing out because of the fetch last sub. And fetch last sub is constantly failing out because of this. So, if len line turn metric now in this case I think we should be returning the error anyway. Metric error. And in this case, we should return errors dot new. Dot errorf, maybe? Yeah, there we go. So empty line. So thus we do not need to log anything there. Turn metric nil. And then lastly, we need to go into the server subs handler. Which does that. Wow. So technically what's happening in the background is, so we have this last sub that's currently not returning anything. And I think I did this in the view, right? Yeah. Type error failed to fetch. Is it gonna show up now? Is it gonna show up now? No? No. Interesting. Huh. That's very interesting. So what I was expecting to see... Oh, nope, there it is. There it is. This little last sub label up here that is technically empty. because unfortunately I did not have last sub running. It's not half bad. It's there. I mean, it's there. It's not really working right now. But and unfortunately, it's because I don't have any data from Sorcery's resubscription. But we can probably inject that in the next go around, I think. All right. So there is a lot that happened here. So first, we need to go into get ignore. This needs to become cache.txt. We can rm the ledger.txt. We can also kill this. And let's see here. So that's a lot of that's a lot of stuff that's happened over the course of this this thing. So let's do a quick git diff just to make sure. In fact, actually, that's not a lot. Oh no, there we go. There we go. I was about to say there's way more changes than that. So ledger.txt now became cache.txt. The greeter is now accepting a cache, not a ledger. Metric store now has SERDI semantics, serialization and deserialization semantics. So this is now cache type and greeter cache expiration. That's now cache data. Ledger, just the ledger files are no longer. It's now in a package called cache. And then this is now cache.new. Metrics cache is cache.inmemory. Server now expects a cache. The subs handler is now pulling from the cache, and it is doing the serialization and deserialization. This is something that I do want to look at, possibly in the next stream, is whether or not we can make that a little more seamless. This is one of the things that that people like to ding go on, is that without something like generics, writing this code in a generic fashion does get a little difficult. But I think there's a way to do it without generics, so we'll explore that a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. All right, so git add. Now Redis data is still here. Oh, hello. Cool. Is there anything in here? Config.yaml. Is there anything that needed to change here? Cache type is file. It's not ledger anymore. Ledger. Nope. Ledger's not in here. And our channel is the only channel that's in here now, so no need to change that for others. I think that looks good. Yeah, okay. So let's take a look-see. Ledger.go renamed to cache.go. Ledger Factory became Cache Factory, and Ledger Persistable became Cache Persistable. Interesting that Git recognized that Ledger.go became Cache.go, but it didn't recognize that Ledger Factory and Persistable became Cache Factory and Cache Persist. Whatever. So git commit. All right, so remove ledger nomenclature. I think that's how you spell that. Nomenclature. Sure. Remove ledger nomenclature. Swap sub handler to use persistable. I think that's a TLDR for what we did. Now, do I still have inside of a bot viewer? Is that it's still called metric store. So let's move bot viewer metric store to just bot viewer metric. And make sure nothing broke. Probably did, but let's see. JK. Get at all. Get commit amend, because we want that to be part of that change. Basically just removing this idea of metric store. Now it's just a model, it's just a metric, so we don't have to do anything with that. Get push origin current branch. Oh, never mind. Get push origin persistent cache. And there we go. Persistent cache swap. Now cache.txt, cache. That looks good. Metric.go, metric store is gone. This is now just called cache. We have a file version, we have a memory version. There is a part of me that's starting to question the necessity of this, but we'll get there. We'll get there, I think. Persistable is pretty much everything that we just did. Double checking, doing a read through to make sure we didn't do anything silly here. Looks okay. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Also, I just had a thought. I don't know why this just hit me. Do I have time to do this? I kind of don't have time to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm a responsible adult. This part. So, gonna fix this real quick. So, rehydrate. I now remember the reason that we had this. The reason that we immediately flush the cache. What was in my mind? Oh, no, not cache.flush. This is a pc.flush cache. The reason that we have this immediately flush to ensure any expired keys are removed. That's why we do it. Commit, actually git commit. I'm gonna amend this so that it doesn't show up in history. Git push -f persistent cache. I was trying to remember because I thought that there was a reason that we did that, and now I remember. It's once we do, sorry, it actually wasn't here, it was here. Once we do rehydrate goes through and expires keys. Because it expires keys, we would end up with a situation where if it's persistent, after we rehydrate from a file that has expired keys, the cache, the in-memory cache would be up to date, but the file cache wouldn't be up to date. So that's just kind of a, we read, we expire, we update, we proceed. Is it like super rigid and trying to be super durable? Yeah. Is it necessary? Probably not. But I mean, not too bad. Cache type is good. Cache expiration time, and that lines up with config go, I think. Yep, cache type, cache. Cache expiration is now cache. Cache. Ledger is gone. This is now cache. That's all cache. Cache.put. Cache.put. This is now swapped over from in-memory store and metric store to another cache that is, in this case, it's in memory right now, which is, I think, perfectly fine. We'll swap that over to a persistent cache next. Alrighty. So persistent cache swap, remove metric store in favor of cache persistable cache. Remove nomenclature of ledger. It's just a cache. Update viewer metric to SERDI to from a string. Serialize, deserialize to and from a string. For use in a persistable cache. I think that's it. Metric store, remove nomenclature, update metric store. Should be good. Create a pull request. Pull request. Okay. Just gonna make sure that that this thing actually passes, and then we'll call it a day. And while that's running, this is not how you typically do things, by the way. You wait until the tests are complete and the code is actually merged. But persistent KV store for bot features. Now using cache persistable as the go-to for such purposes over viewer metric store. Just so we have some context. Oh, we have some failures. We have some test failures. What failed? Pub sub build failed? Undefined IO read all. Do we need to update our action? Oh, yep, we sure do. Update action to go 1.16. That's good to know. That's a dependency that we're gonna have to take into account. I really need to make that that alias work. All right, update the action to go 1.16. And that is why you wait until the test pass. Just saying. All right, so something else that we do still need to do from a code cleanliness perspective is we do still need to remove the use of the log package and swap over to Logger. That is kind of an ongoing effort, so I'm going to leave that where it is. But we do want to make sure that we're being diligent about swapping over to use the Logger package, which I may rename just for the sake of simplicity, but yeah. And there we go. Squash and merge. Boop. And there we go. Stream bot updated. Get checkout main. Get pull. Oh. Git merge abort. Oh, okay. Git checkout. Assistant cache. Git branch dash d main. Git checkout main. Now we're good. We had code on main that we didn't really want there, so git branch dash d persistent cache. Now we're all up to date. All right, so we can call that done. And fortunately, we're gonna have to call the stream done, as I am now 10 minutes over. Whoops. So in the next couple of streams, we've been spending a lot of time on the kind of code cleanliness of the key value store and some of the utilities that we're using and so forth. And I'm doing that mostly because a lot of these features that are coming up, they're going to use those feature functionalities. So like last sub and last bits tracking, we needed the persistent key value store. Tracking usage of channel point rewards, on-stream alerts, and all that fun. They're going to need some of these utilities. So had to spend a little bit of time to make sure that those were working as intended before we moved on to those other features. But for now, though, that will have to do. So again, thank you all so much for stopping by. I appreciate the support that you all give this tiny little coding stream. But even though it's a tiny stream, doesn't matter. It's a lot of fun, and that's the whole reason that we do it. So thank you all so much for stopping by the lab. Stay curious. And until next time, which will probably be Sunday or Saturday morning, take care, everybody.